Give it up for Nicole, Blaine.
Love and fear. They say those are the two big emotions that everything else is rooted in. It's either love or fear. Here's what's interesting. Number one fear is public speaking. This is over death. I agree. I am petrified. This is horrible. I totally agree. So I don't know. Number two is probably death, maybe jumping out of planes, not sure. But I want to talk about the third most common fear that nobody is talking about and we are all thinking, and I want to bring it to the forefront. And I want to be the one to talk about it tonight. Say it with me. Attending your high school reunion. Right? So for real, why in the world would anyone in their right mind want to go back and relive the worst time of their life, but this time all over again with gray hair in their pubes? Why would I want to do that? I have no idea. Here's the thing. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, I never felt popular enough. I never felt pretty enough. I never felt smart enough, right? And it's weird because now, after all these 400-something years later, I've given it some thought, and I've come to this very comforting conclusion about that time. You actually don't want to peak in high school. Right? Think about it, right? And you think about it, who was the most popular guy in your high school? Who was it? John Gamer? Is that just flew out? John Gabriele. Everyone's got one, right? I feel like, for the most part, and I'm gonna guess right, it was Zach Morris. Yeah? Saved by the Bell, Zach Morris. And here's the deal. Think about it. Where is he today? What happened to poor Zach? 2014, Franklin Bash, canceled. What happened? Versus Patrick Dempsey, played the high school nerd in every single 80s high school movie and was then Dr. McDreamy. Okay? So I was just thinking, turns out the worst thing that could happen to you is peaking in high school. Okay? So it was interesting. I try to think back to, where did my anxiety come from with being in school, right? And I started thinking back, and it came to me. For me, my moment of anxiety was my very first day of third grade. I was the new kid. You guys remember being the new kid where you knew nobody? My parents had just moved from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, all the way out to Santa Monica, this beachy little town, and I knew nobody. And I was gonna be the new girl in school. And I was petrified. And my mom tried to comfort me. She was like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go and pick out the best outfit for your first day of school, right? Now, I don't know if you remember this, but back in 1980-something, the most popular shirt was Hypercolor. Anyone remember Hypercolor? Okay, if you don't know, it was one of those shirts that when you wore it, it would change from one color to another, due to your body heat. So it was like wearing a giant mood ring, okay? And Hypercolor was the biggest thing, but 5 years earlier. And I still wanted one. So my mom was like, all right, we're gonna get you that Hypercolor shirt, and we are gonna go to the Indoor Valley swap meet. Yes, exactly. That is the right response. It is where knockoff brands go to die. And my mom was like, we're gonna get you that Hypercolor shirt. And all I wanted was a fluorescent pink Hypercolor that would turn to neon blue. And we picked one out, and I got ready for school. And I told her, I said, Mom, I am so scared. I cannot go. I can't do this. And she said, Nicole, fear and love, okay? Everybody feels this way when they are the new kid. This is a rite of passage in your life, okay? All you have to do is think about love, put a smile on your face, and you walk in there, and you are gonna be okay. So we started driving to school, and I told her to pull over about 3 blocks ahead of time. I was like, I do not want anyone to think that I'm 8-year-old and I live with parents. I'm getting ready to get out of the car, and I looked down at my Hypercolor shirt, and what was hot pink started transition into, I would say, hues of diarrhea. It looked like someone had just hovered over my little 8-year-old chest and taken a dump on it. Not the best shirt to wear when you are very emotional and having anxiety. And I said to her, Mom, I can't go in there. I can't do it. And she said, you put that smile on your face and you get in there. You're gonna be okay. And here's the thing. Thinking back, even the captain of the cheerleading team does not feel like she belongs at the top of the pyramid. It's true. I know. I became the captain of my high school cheerleading team, yes. And there I was, literally standing on top of the most beautiful Kelly Kapowskis in the school. And all I was doing when I was standing up at the top of that pyramid was thinking, what guy is ever gonna wanna ask me to finger bang? Not that I really wanted to be finger banged, it sounded incredibly violent. I just wanted some nice Jewish boy to potentially ask me for some consensual finger banging. Nobody ever asked. Always the finger bang maid. Never the finger bangee. So why? Why in the world would I want to go back to high school reunions and relive this day? What was I going to do? Find some guy with incredibly strong fingers? So I told my mother, I said, Mom, I'm not going to my high school reunion. I don't want to. I'm totally freaked out, living in complete fear. And she said, Nicole, this is a rite of passage. Everybody feels this way when they go to their high school reunion. All you gotta do is think about love versus fear. You gotta put a smile on your face, and you gotta walk in there, and you are gonna be okay. So I went. I went the next day, and there's that little table, you know, with all the name tags. And there's mine was, complete with my high school photo, which means that I had these giant bangs that didn't yet cover my unibrow. I had late onset braces and maybe a very different profile. But I put that name tag on, and I put on a smile, and I walked in the room. And immediately, all the way across the other side of the room, I saw this very tall, muscular man wearing a very finely fitted suit. And as soon as I entered the room, he locked eyes with me immediately, and he beelined straight towards me. And he came up to me and was like, oh my God, Nicole Blaine, you look exactly the same. He said, I gotta tell you, I came here tonight just in hopes that you would be here. I needed to talk to you and tell you something. You were my it girl. I remember the day that you walked into Miss Boggin's 3rd grade classroom. You had on the coolest brown shirt and the most beautiful smile I had ever seen. And I immediately fell in love with you. So much so that after 8 years of saving up money, that Valentine's Day, I broke my piggy bank and I bought you the most expensive chocolate heart that I could afford. And I put it in my backpack and I waited all day to give it to you. And I never gave it to you. In fact, to be honest, every single Valentine's Day, from 3rd grade to senior year, 1985 to 1995, I bought you the most expensive, biggest chocolate heart that I could afford every single year. Not once did I ever give it to you or have the courage to speak to you. It was, listen, my eyes filled with tears. It was huge, and all I could think was, who is this? I have no idea. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at his name tag, and back up at him, and then all of a sudden it dawns on me, and I see him, I go, Mark Bevins, oh my God. He looked very different, okay? He used to wear very thick glasses, had even thicker acne. He was the president of the chess club, and he played the flute in the marching band. And I said, Mark, you should have asked me out. I totally would have said yes. Oh, I never would have said yes. And he says to me, but then one day, you remember chem class, junior year, we sat next to each other? No memory of this. He said, you spoke to me. You did, you spoke to me. You were wearing your cheerleading outfit, and you turned to me, and you said, you should try out for the cheerleading squad. We need guys, or the whole thing will be cut. It sounds very on brand. I was asking every single guy with a penis to try out. And he goes, I couldn't believe it. You spoke to me. So of course, I tried out for the team on Monday. And I was the only guy who tried out, so I made it. And we were gonna be together every single day. And then a week later, you quit. It's true. I needed more for my college brag sheet. You know, I needed to take up rowing, or at least hold an oar, take a picture with a USC sweatshirt and a bag of $100,000 from Aunt Becky. He goes, but I stayed on the team. I stayed. And for the first time in my life, I made friends with girls. And they were really cool. And they made me feel cool. And I got really buff and muscular. And it turns out I'm really good at lifting women up. And he goes, and because of cheerleading, I got into a college I never would have gotten into. And I got a full scholarship that I never could have afforded to go to. And because I was a cheerleader in college, I went into health and fitness, and I opened up my own company. And it is now publicly traded and worth billions and billions of dollars. But I want to thank you for being my it girl. And I need you to know that because you spoke to me, you changed my life. And I just want to thank you. And then he reached into his pocket, and he handed me a very tiny little chocolate heart. And he handed it to me, and he walked away. And I thought, I feel like this could be bigger. But ultimately, we both overcame our biggest fears that day. We did. We both overcame it because he spoke to me. But really, for me, in that moment, I realized I overcame mine and that I had actually peaked in high school. And I just let a man with very strong fingers slip away.